A lot of people's heart probably dropped when they saw the title of this video said FunkyFrogBait controversy. And I want to make sure you guys understand that this is not a hate campaign. I'm not trying to smear their character at all. This is just my honest criticism about the entire controversy. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain the entire context. I'm going to go over their entire apology video, and then I'm going to tell you guys Marshall's opinion on the entire matter. But before we get into any of that, we of course have to start the show. This is where Marshall talks about stuff. Follow me. This is the Marshall show. This is the best show. The Marshall show. The Marshall show. The Marshall show. The Marshall show. This is the best Marshall show. The Marshall show. Welcome back, my sexy niche community. I have to make this extremely clear that their pronouns are they, them. No matter how much you hate them or dislike them, do not misgender them. We don't do this around the Marshall show. So I want to make that clear. And I'm going to tell you guys now, I don't watch FunkyFrogBait. I'm not a fan of them. I don't watch them religiously, so I have no bias towards or against them. I'm completely unbiased in this whole situation, and I'm here as an outsider. But I did do my due diligence into understanding what happened, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. Okay, so all of this started on Sunday when Funky was streaming, and one of her chat members said that the amazing digital circus was cool and wanted Funky to like talk about it or something. So Funky started talking about it because one of the last episodes of the amazing digital circus caused a lot of backlash, and they were supporting Gooseworks, which is the animator for the show. When Funky started to defend Gooseworks, a lot of people in their chat was bringing up that Gooseworks was racist. And the issue was that Funky, instead of really talking about if they're racist or not, or condemning Gooseworks or anything like that, they actually decided to dismiss all the criticisms stating that Gooseworks was racist. They went on this whole entire rant about how cancel culture always really ruins people, and they always try to do smear campaigns, and they morally grandstand and actually just try to harm people, and they're always trying to cancel indie artists that are just trying to be human, etc. The main issue was that they were dismissing these racist allegations. They were just writing it off as just random hate. Now, remove your bias towards the amazing digital circus or Gooseworks at all. What's important to know is that Funky did not know anything about Gooseworks really at all. And we'll talk about this later in the video, but they didn't know anything about Gooseworks or the amazing digital circus at all. They don't really even like the fandom. So you guys might have more information about this whole situation, but Funky did not. Funky did not know anything about it. Instead, they just immediately dismissed all these racist allegations. That was the huge issue, and a lot of people made videos on TikTok, Instagram, etc. talking about it because they felt like it was very inappropriate for a white creator to dismiss people's valid criticisms towards a creator being racist or the animator being racist. And to me, I think that is a valid criticism. If you're on stream and somebody tells you that the person you're defending is racist, you probably shouldn't just dismiss that criticism, and you should probably take it seriously. Or if you don't know the truth, you probably shouldn't say anything, because making an assumption and trying to dismiss somebody's valid criticisms against somebody who seemingly is racist is very, very disheartening. And for people who are watching Funky stream, they probably felt very hurt by it. So a lot of people had valid criticisms against Funky for dismissing these racist allegations towards Gooseworks. So it got to the point where Funky felt like they needed to put out an apology video about the whole situation, or you can maybe call it an addressing video, just talking about the situation as a whole. And this video is the reason why I wanted to make this Marshall Show episode, because I think this is one of the worst apologies a creator has put out. Maybe not like James Charles or the ukulele apology, but it's a pretty bad apology, and we're gonna go over the apology front to back. But again, I have a few prefaces, because I know a lot of people, when hearing what the criticisms against Funky was, might be like, that's not really anything, it's a nothing burger. But you have to understand, as somebody who's watching your favorite creator, if they just completely dismiss somebody calling the person they're defending racist, it's gonna make you feel really hurt. Like if I was a creator and I was defending somebody that was homophobic, and I said, hey, You guys always trying to bring creators down. Like, you're always trying to put a smear campaign. You can't do that. If you're gay or queer in any way, you might take really, 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 really deep offense that I just dismissed your actual feelings. So you might be offended. I think that's extremely valid. And again, this has nothing to do if you're a fan of the Amazing Digital Circus or Gooseworks or anything. Just on the face value, that is something that you probably shouldn't do as a creator, especially at that size. But let's get into the apology video because this shit was ass. So let's start it.
Every single time I have made any attempt to address a negative reaction to something I have said, it has immediately resulted in far worse backlash. I am in every single possible way incentivized to do nothing right now. Everything about this statement will be scrutinized and insulted, from my tone of voice, the fact I'm reading from something I wrote beforehand, the way I look, my choice of wording, even the length of the video itself. I've been on the internet for a long time. I know how this works. But there is something about thousands of people calling you a racist that really cannot go unacknowledged.
My sexy niche community, when I first heard that first part of the apology, I already knew it probably won't go the way they want it to. And they stated here, they say, no matter what I say, this video will only cause more hatred. And it would only be better for me not to make this video at all. I don't really like the phrasing of that video or the first part of that video. I don't like the prefacing, and I feel like that's inconsiderate. And I'm going to tell you why. If this was a situation where you heard that your fan base felt like you were being insensitive or racist because you dismissed their valid criticisms of somebody being racist, I don't think it's appropriate to say, I just probably shouldn't even address this. Because I feel like if you felt like you did something wrong, the idea of not addressing it or apologizing wouldn't come across your mind. I feel like if you feel like you have the responsibility to make amends about what you did that was insensitive, there's no shot that you'll think that it's better not to do it. So the fact that they say, look, me not making this video will probably be the best idea, but I'm going to anyway, tells me that you might not even be that sincere, but maybe I'm just being too woke. So we'll continue, but I really want you guys to understand what I'm saying. But we'll continue on with the apology.
This past Sunday, while playing a game on stream, someone brought up the Amazing Digital Circus. I had just seen a Penguin Zero video about how the last episode was leaked and how the creator Gooseworks had received intense criticism for this, despite it being out of her control. I am not a fan of the Amazing Digital Circus. I have previously expressed my disinterest in the show after the topic had been spammed in my chat during streams multiple times. The community surrounding the show seemed very unpleasant to be a part of, and I honestly did not want to associate with it. Despite this, I still express sympathy for Gooseworks because I want indie art to succeed, even if it's indie art that I don't particularly like. I made the point that while many users claim to want more authentic human-made content, they often treat the humans making it poorly. While talking about this, a handful of users started spamming that Gooseworks was a racist in the chat. While most of my viewers are wonderful and I love to interact with them, there are others who will spam misinformation, insults, and extremely dark subject matter at me while streaming. My moderators are volunteers. They do the best that they can. These were extremely serious allegations from a fanbase that has developed a very bad reputation online, provided without any context whatsoever. My only knowledge of Gooseworks' behavior at this point with regards to racism was that she had recently made it very clear that racists were not in any way welcome in the Amazing Digital Circus fandom in a very strongly worded tweet. In the moment while streaming, based on the information I had, I shut down the chatters who were making these accusations. I assumed this was just more extreme behavior stemming from the episode leak. I am sorry for how aggressive this response was. It made me very upset because it touched on something that had been weighing on me for a while. That harassment campaigns online under the guise of accountability have gotten out of control. That these harassment campaigns often spread misinformation. That the purpose of these call-outs or cancellations or whatever you want to call them is often not effective at actually preventing harm, but it is very effective at finding a righteous justification for doing harm to someone else.
Okay, so let's summarize real quick so we know we're on the same page. Funky was stating that they didn't think the community was being serious because the community is already known to be toxic, especially right now because of the whole last episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. So they didn't take the allegations seriously at all. In fact, the only thing they heard about Gooseworks was that they didn't want anyone who's racist to be in the community. So after knowing that, they thought that everybody was lying or being like trolly about these racist allegations. That's the entire context. Now let's talk about if that context is valid and if it actually absolves them of any criticism in the first place. Because I understand not trusting a toxic community, but if you don't trust what they're saying, I think it's probably best to not have a very hard stance on the topic if you don't know what the answer is, if you don't know what's true or not. You don't have to take what your chat is saying at face value. If you don't trust them, you don't trust them. There's no reason to put this crazy take and rant about something that you don't even know 100% is true or not, especially with the severity of the claims. Again, if I was a creator and I said something or defended a person who was known to be homophobic, and when my chat says, hey, they're homophobic, even if I didn't believe them, I'm not going to be like, I know for a fact they're not homophobic and you guys are lying. That's not something I should do. And that's not a very responsible thing to do at all. And I think even with the context, I think it's valid for people to still look at you and say, hey, what you did was irresponsible. And I think if some people were deeply offended, if they think you're racist because of it, that's their prerogative to have. And I don't think it's fair for you to tell them that they shouldn't feel that way, especially because you're the one who didn't do the due diligence when hearing that the person you're defending is racist. Now, am I saying that Funky is racist? I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to tell you guys is that if somebody came to that conclusion because of their mistake, then that's valid for them to have that feelings. That's what happens when you make a mistake. You are going to get people who feel a certain way about you, and maybe it's unfair, but it might happen. But let's continue the apology video.
I have since done my research, as I have been asked to do. What I found were certainly not things I would ever post. From what I can tell, they were intended to be jokes, but I personally didn't find them funny, and it makes sense that they would disturb people.
Okay, so let's talk about Gooseworks, because Funky just now already stated that they saw the reason why people are calling them racist, and they don't agree with what Gooseworks was saying either, and they wouldn't really want to, endorse that at all, nor do they agree with that. So let's talk about what Gooseworks did, because I did a lot of research in trying to figure out what they did, and all I could find, and if I'm wrong, I want you guys to actually correct me. All I found is that they did make some insensitive, racy, incestual jokes in the past. To me, I am not one to just go, oh, it's just edgy jokes, who cares, right? Edgy jokes aren't funny to me. I think edgy jokes do cause harm. If that's something you don't believe in, that's your prerogative. But I think it's fair for people to call you racist if you make a lot of edgy jokes, especially if those jokes are on the back of discriminated against groups. I'm not the edgy joke person. This whole thing doesn't really matter in my opinion because Funky already stated that they don't agree with anything that Gooseworks did, nor would they want to endorse what Gooseworks did. So I feel like going through the semantics of seeing if Gooseworks is really, really racist or not, I don't think matters to the point that people are trying to make against Funky to begin with, because again, in the beginning, they didn't even know anything about Gooseworks really at all. So they didn't know if they were racist or not. So it doesn't really change the impact of what Funky did. But let's continue the video.
The irony was that only a few hours later, videos accusing me of being a racist were getting thousands of likes. If you, after hearing the facts about what happened, choose to still believe that I am a racist, that makes me horribly sad. But I can't do anything about it. If you believe, as many people have stated, that I'm just another fake white queer that likes to live out rather than meaningfully critique the evils of white supremacy and capitalism, I disagree with you. But I accept that I can't change your mind.
Okay, so here's what my problem is. And this is why I started to get annoyed by their apology. Because when they're stating, hey, if you find me racist because of this, I feel very bad about that. Or no, they don't say that. They say, I feel sad about that. If you think that I'm just some white queer that's doing this and that hurts my feelings, and I disagree. But I can't do anything to change your mind. None of that is I apologize. None of that is I understand and I apologize and I'll do better. All of this is like, if you heard what I said and you still think I'm racist, I don't even know what to tell you. I can't do nothing about that. That sucks, but there's nothing I can do. None of this is really actually taking accountability for the mistake you made. They stated what their mistake was, but they didn't really even acknowledge it as a mistake in general. They gave it as just like, this is why I did what I did. And if you find me racist because of that, that sucks. And I don't agree with that. When you acknowledge that you made people upset and you hurt people's feelings with what you did, you should apologize for it. That's how I feel. I think you should make amends with the people you hurt through your decisions. And when you just state that you are sad that people are going to find you racist anyway, and you don't show any level of understanding of why they may think that, even with the context you gave, that to me shows a lack of sincerity. And we're going to continue on to this video because it doesn't really get much better in my opinion.
What I refuse to accept is the people filling my comment sections so obviously delighted to prove that I have been secretly bigoted and hypocritical all this time after everything that I have posted. I refuse to accept the glee with which they finally feel justified to say extremely cruel things about me as a person. I refuse to accept people dropping isolated claims that I am racist on several social media platforms, completely separated from the context of the original video, likely leading many of my followers to believe that if they are not white, I do not value or advocate for them, which is not true. This behavior is disgusting, exactly what I was addressing on stream, and I do not accept it as valid criticism.
This is the main reason why I'm like, I don't think you understood what happened. Because it seems like they're extremely hurt that people are criticizing them for this moment and calling them names. And you shouldn't call anybody names. You shouldn't call anyone mean, whatever, right? But you're lashing out. And I feel like you're generalizing the people who are giving you criticisms that were very valid. For you to go, I will not stand here and allow people to just frivolously call me racist and leave hate and all this. These people are saying this for a reason. They're criticizing you for a reason. And when you go and you say, man, like, I don't know why they're hating on my name. Like, they're doing this and they're doing that, and I won't stand for the hate and stand for the smear campaign. You're completely deflecting the blame. You're analyzing this and you're basically representing this as something where people are just blindly hating you for no reason, which to me shows you're not taking any accountability for what you did. Because if you felt like what you did was hurtful and was rude and was causing people to feel hurt, then you wouldn't take it as just a smear campaign. And I'm sure a lot of people are being too rude. I'm sure a lot of people are criticizing you for no reason, or maybe people who've been hating you for a while, just coming out of the woodworks. That happens. But as a creator, you should know that that's kind of the name of the game. People who hate you are always going to piggyback on whatever controversy you're in. But to generalize the people hating you or calling you racist as just like these people who are just trying to enact these smear campaigns, again, shows to me that this apology, which they haven't apologized for anything, is insincere. Let's keep going.
This is the only statement that I will be making about this. If you want to continue to express how much you dislike me, that's fine. All I can ask is that you try to do so responsibly. Leave your opinions under this video or the video where the incident actually occurred so that people have the full context of the situation. Cite your sources. Use my actual words. If you are right and I am secretly a terrible person, this basic level of honesty should not weaken your position at all. I would also ask that you perhaps engage with me the same way I engage with all of you. The things I say are said in my voice with my face attached to it. I don't think it's unfair to ask for the same level of vulnerability. This may be entertaining drama for you, but it is not to me. I cannot prove to you that I'm a good person. I can only continue to make content about weird topics I find interesting, raise awareness and donate to help communities that need it, and try to make people laugh, because that's the whole reason I started doing this. Whether you continue to watch me or not is up to you.
And that's it. There was no apology. There was no really accountability. There was no sincerity. It was them in the beginning stating that this apology that they're about to give will not help anything and they shouldn't even do it. It's them giving the context of why they did what they did. It's them kind of stating that, yeah, I didn't really know this, and if I would have known, I wouldn't have said what I said, which isn't really even taking accountability. It's basically just showing what happened. And then it's them saying, I do not accept all this criticism and hate towards me, and I don't consider it valid criticism at all. And then they say, you know, if you're gonna hit on me, at least use my words and this and that. And that's the end of the video. There was no apology. And again, if you truly feel like you did nothing wrong, that's fine. But people were hurt. People felt offended. Your community felt offended from what you said. These aren't just random people who wanted to hate on you for no reason. This is valid fans of yours. And you didn't apologize once. All you said is, yeah, I did completely disregard people stating that the person I was defending is racist, but like I only did that because I didn't believe them because the whole community was toxic in the first place. Not I'll do better in the future, not I shouldn't have said anything, not oh I'll do better, not I'm sorry for the people I hurt. None of that. I think their ego was hurt. I think Funky is a very progressive person. And when they saw that 1 billion people were basically calling them racist, it took a very big hit to their ego and their pride. So I think when they made this apology video, they let that shine instead of actual sincerity. They were extremely hurt, and you can tell from the video, from how they are talking. They're hurt, they're offended, and they feel like they were attacked for something they felt like was not worth it, basically. I don't think Funky thinks they did anything wrong at all. I don't think they feel any guilt about the entire situation. I feel like they think they're now the target of a smear campaign. And you can see that in the apology video. When somebody who thinks they're not racist at all, and I'm not saying that Funky is racist, but when somebody thinks they're progressive completely and they get called racist, it takes a huge hit. And that's exactly what we're seeing. It's exemplified through the video. If I was in their situation, even if I felt like I didn't do anything wrong, I would give the context to why I did it, and then I would apologize for anybody that I hurt, and I would say that I'm going to do better in the future to make sure that when I have these takes, I am very well researched about it. And if they would have done that in the beginning, I think no one would have cared. I think everybody would assume that they are very well intentioned, especially through their track record where they are a progressive person. But instead, they didn't apologize. Instead, they felt like they attacked all the people who were giving them criticisms as just a smear campaign that they can't even actually accept as valid criticism. And to me, I feel like that shows, again, insincerity. That's the reason why I had such a big issue with the video. Now, am I saying that Funky should be, canceled off the face of the planet? No, not at all. But I do think that this should garner some level of reflection. I really did take offense of that video. I really did not think that video was good, and I think it did give them even a worse outcome. So I guess they were kind of right in the beginning, but I feel like if the actual apology was sincere, I don't think people would have cared as much, at least to me. And if they do still feel offended by what you did after you apologize, that's what happens when you do something that is seen as bigoted. That's what happens when you make a mistake. Sometimes people are not going to forgive you, and that's okay. You have to continue being a better person, trying to be better in the future. Not everybody is always going to accept your apology. Not everybody's going to love you. That's just the name of the game. That's the name of life. That's what makes you a human being. Anyway, I want you guys to leave your thoughts in the comments under the video, because I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about Gooseworks and the amazing digital circuits, and I know nothing really about the show, but I know there's a lot of contention about that. So let me know if I did anything wrong or said anything wrong. I'm not above criticism at all. So if I'm wrong, tell me. But for now, I'll see you in the next Marshall Show episode. Goodbye.